What's up, agents? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at healing builds. I know most of the time we have these mundane healing builds. You just stack up pieces of repair skill, go out there, you'll stick on either Empathic Resolve if you want to give a little bit of bonus damage, or you'll stick on some kinetic momentum. What I found is there's basically a threshold using my Scummit build that I use for soloing the summit. I found 300 to 350,000. Let's go with 350,000 healing per charge of the Hive. If you hit that, that means any other healing skill you have, everything's going to be where it needs to be. Everything on top of that is icing on the cake. And what that means is that opens us up to, instead of stacking skills specifically to buff healing beyond that, and I'm looking at you, Safeguard, we can start taking other things into account and trying to have a bit more utility or a bit more fun playing. So in that vein, I just want to bring 3 versions of a healer build to you today, show some gameplay in Legendary of what they can do, and see if maybe there's a way that you guys can adjust any sort of healing build you may run, or if you run in a team and you have somebody else that likes running healing builds, go ahead and share this video. On that note, if you guys enjoy this content, smash that like button for me. If I haven't already earned your subscription, hopefully today is the day. Support me on Subscribestar, or if you really want to, down below in the links is my crypto wallets. That's the best way to help support my work, give me more time to make these videos. All right, agents, so of course we're going to start with Specialization. We are running a healer, so that of course means we are going to be running Survivalist. All right, so the first thing it means we're going to get the bonus of an additional 15% outgoing healing. We're going to get the benefit of additional 10% protection from elites. Our armor kits are now going to repair our entire armor over 5 seconds. And this will apply to all of our teammates and allies within 20 meters. We will get access to the Mender Seeker mine, which is a wonderful fire and forget healing skill, and we'll go over that in a bit. In addition, any of our teammates will gain the bonus of 10% damage to targets affected by status effects. One last thing is we get an additional plus 10% skill haste while we are in cover. Alright, so as far as weapons, it's pretty straightforward with this kind of build. We're running a healer build. There's only one dedicated weapon talent for healing, and that's Reformation. I mean, there's preservation stuff, self-healing. I'm talking specifically something that can buff your outgoing healing to the rest of the entire team. So because of that, obviously the best candidate we have to buff the healing is the Designated Hitter Marksman Rifle. This comes with the Perfect Reformation, which gives us plus 40% additional skill repair for 15 seconds. Its Lesser Non-Perfect Variation gives us plus 30% for 15 seconds. And you may elect to choose an auto rifle or an LMG for ease of use, particularly in a situation like mine where I'm on console. It's just way easier for me to use an automatic weapon versus taking the shot with the designated hitter, and if I miss, having to reload and take another shot. The secondary weapon we are going to use is going to be the Scorpio. This will allow us some crowd control. This will give status effects. This can give a debuff to the enemy so that your team can do significantly more damage. It's great like this where you can use it to take down these tanks way faster when they're getting that bonus damage. When we're running the Scorpio in conjunction with Galvanize, this is the primary method to make sure that we can give our teammates that bonus armor on a fairly continuous basis. Plus, it's a great weapon. Some other interesting weapons to consider if you just want to have some fun is the Backfire. This will give you substantial bonus crit hit damage if you want to stack some crit hit chance. And since you'll be taking that bleed damage, but we're not running a bunch of armor, the damage will not be that substantial, and you're running a healer build, so you're going to constantly be getting healed. Another idea is you could run Bullet King if you're running a directive where ammo is an issue. This way, every time you hit 100 bullets into an enemy, you will give ammo back to your team. You could use the capacitor. The issue I have with the capacitor right now is the stacks only give to skill damage. I'm in the mindset that they need to change the capacitor from just buffing to skill damage, making it skill efficiency. So that way, no matter what type of skill build you're doing, whether you're doing a damage build, whether you're doing a support build, whether you're doing a status effect build, or whether you're doing a healer build, the capacitor will actually help that help that build out. It feels like those types of builds are not getting any love in the realm of exotics right now, with the exception of doing something kind of like what I'm doing right now with the Scorpio. One quick thing you could do if you wanted, since we're all running status effects, is you could run the Grudge with Perfect Vindictive if you want to buff the team with more crit hit chance and crit hit damage. However, I would choose to just run the backup Boomstick or another sidearm with Future Perfect. This is a secondary form of overcharge other than using the BTSU gloves. So that would be a second form of overcharge if you get rushed by an enemy. And let's face it, it's easier to take a dude out at close range with the backup Boomstick than it is with the Grudge, particularly since we are not stacking a lot of damage. All right, moving on, let's look at the gear. All right, guys, for all of these builds, we're going to be using basically the same build idea, the same template, and the fact that we will be using 2 pieces of Future Initiative. This will yield us the bonus of 30% additional repair skill off of the 40% we get, 20 for each one of the Future Initiative pieces. So this will yield us 70% repair skill right here. After that, we're running 2 pieces of Murakami. This will give us the plus 20% skill duration, which means any of the area effect skills, the Chem Charger, the Cloud from the Mender Seeker mine, the duration of the Fixer drone, and the duration of the repair traps, all those will be buffed by this Murakami 20% bonus. The second piece of the Murakami will give us that bonus 20% repair skill. So these 2 pieces, we will net ourselves 60% repair skill, 20 for each attribute on the 2, and then the 20% from the brand set bonus. We are going to run 1 piece of the Alps Summit. This will give us the native 20% repair skill. This will net us 40% repair skill right here. We will be using the BTSU gloves. We're going to do this for the 20% repair skill we get, in addition to the 90% Hive skill haste that we get. This basically keeps us the 1 second cooldown per charge. This means when we overcharge that we will get our Hive, essentially we get between 30 and 32 charges back by the time the overcharge is done. And what this also does is when we overcharge, of course, whatever healing skill we're going to be using is going to be shoved into overdrive at that point. So what I'll do is I will tend to just, if I'm using the Chem Charger, I will put a gigantic radius Chem Charge cloud down right as I overcharge. It lasts for 14 seconds. So that's almost the entire duration that the overcharge lasts. And so by the time the cloud is gone, we are already back to almost max stacks of the Hive. As far as the extra attribute slot you will have on both the Murakami and the Alps, you guys can run whatever you want. Keep in mind you do have 3 mod slots, which will net you an additional 60% repair skill if you decide to go all repair skill on those. Now, as far as the talents, we'll cover the baseline talents. Generally, the backpack, you will see Safeguard, right? As long as you are at full health, your healing does an additional 100% bonus repair skill. This is additive. This is on top of all that other healing I've already mentioned. So this does suffer from diminishing returns, but that is still obviously a lot of repair skill that you get from just 1 talent. The downside about this is you, of course, have to be at max health, max armor rather, and that's fairly easy to do because as soon as you take damage, you're probably getting healed by your skills. So this is the go-to, but for other reasons, we will discuss some other talents in a moment. As far as the chest, people tend to either go with Kinetic Momentum. That will yield you the highest healing potential in the game. The other alternative that most people end up using for Legendary instead, because that extra healing is not really needed, they'll run Empathic Resolve. This at skill tier 6 will net you 13% bonus skill and weapon damage, and during overcharge that will yield your team 15%. Unfortunately, we only receive 6 or 7% bonus damage ourselves, but we're not aiming to do damage. We're aiming to keep people alive so they can do damage. So I tested a whole bunch of perks, and what it came down to is there's only 2 other combinations I thought were really interesting. One was the idea of running Tamper Proof and Galvanized. This idea, you're Hive effectively becomes an area denial weapon. You toss it out there, it'll shock guys, and then when paired with Galvanize, when you apply the correct status effect, and shock being one of them, that means that your Hive can now proc Galvanize and give the entire team 40% of our armor total as bonus armor. So the interesting thing is when I consider an additional healing of, say, 100,000, well, why give them 100,000 when I can give them bonus armor every 10 seconds? So all of a sudden, the idea of giving them an extended armor bar, to me, is a more effective way of running a healer build. So we'll get more into that as we have the gameplay, and I will talk about that specifically. Another combination I tried that wasn't very efficient, ironically, was the combination of the efficient chest piece and the energized backpack. It can be argued that, okay, now we have a third overcharge, but it's just really not needed, and this overcharge is just for us. If this was like the BTSU gloves where it gave an overcharge to the entire team, awesome. However, if you are interested in checking out this combo, go ahead. If you find that it works well for you, definitely leave a comment down below. I'd really like to see it in action if anybody is able to get it to work well. I just found that it was pointless to be using these armor kits, and that 50% chance of it not being used, I still ended up running out of armor kits fairly often. So, just my opinion. So just to quickly go over all the chest talents that I did check out, we tried Kinetic Momentum, I tried Explosive Delivery, I tried Empathic Resolve, I tried Overwatch, I tried Unbreakable. I will note that Unbreakable is actually pretty cool if you're running Legendary with a bunch of noobs who tend to die in a really bad position and you need to go get them for whatever reason, because it allows me to actually have adequate time on many occasions when coupled with the healing to actually get a down teammate up. We tried the Tamper Proof and we tried Efficient. As far as the backpack talents, of course, we all know what Safeguard does and how effective it is. I also tried Overclock. It does, I didn't realize what that extra reload speed can do with guys that are running, say, an LMG build. And overall, that's just more DPS. And then, of course, the additional skill cooldown is beneficial if the guys are running a skill build. We tried the Energize, of course, and then my favorite non-safeguard backpack talent, Galvanized. So I borrowed this from my status effect build, and I found that this actually lends really well. Again, we'll get into that later. I'm sure if you guys have made it this far, you guys just want to see what sort of healing we're putting out with these skills, and then I'm sure you want to see how it actually works in gameplay. So I got a bunch of legendary gameplay for each of these different builds. Let's get into the skills, and then we'll check that gameplay out. All right, guys, we're quickly going to cover the 5 healing skills that are available. But before that, I really wanted to add up these bonuses. So in this configuration, what we're looking at is statically, with no other bonuses, running this build at a min-maxed every repair skill at 20%, we're looking at 265% static bonus repair skill. When we take Safeguard into the equation, you're now looking at 365% bonus repair skill, as long as you remain at full health. At Imperfect Reformation from the designated hitter, you are now at 405% bonus healing. Now, if you have Kinetic Momentum stacked up to all 30 stacks, and we got a 60% bonus on top of that, we now are capping out at 465% bonus healing. Alright, agents, now as far as the healing skills, obviously we're going to use the Hive for every iteration of this build. It's the best healing device we have in the game. It covers the widest area, and it is essential and one in part of the BTSU combination that we use to overcharge the entire team. So this skill cannot be underrated. This is the go-to for every one of my builds. We have 36 charges. We have a 1-second cooldown. And every iteration of this build will end up healing 482,000 as the base healing. So remember what I was talking about. We only need to hit 350,000. So no matter what we do with this build, we are going to be well beyond the threshold of what you need just for Legendary. by a substantial amount. So now let's talk about our secondary or supplemental healing. The big dog, of course, is going to be the Chem charger. If you want to be a dedicated healer not shooting a lot, then I would recommend using the Chem charger. You can manage your number of charges, and that will be the best healing. Somebody who's in a Hive and a Chem charger, I mean, there's not many things that are going to instantly down those guys. But you do have to be aware of the management of your charges, and you, of course, have to be in a position to effectively get the healing to the teammates. As a base, we're looking at 1.6 million as the burst healing that the Chem charger initially applies, and then over the course of the next 7 seconds, it will heal 325,000 healing per second as the base. As I was saying, the only caveat to the Chem charger is making sure that you're managing your charges, resource management, and of course, positional awareness so that you're able to provide healing to the team. Next, we have the Fixer drone. The Fixer drone is, in my idea, other than the repair traps, which I almost forgot to do, I forgot they existed because they're so bad. The Fixer drone is basically the worst healing in my mind. It is in a bad position where it can be shot down. It only heals one person at a time. Now, given that you can use this to affect, say, somebody who's running reconnaissance, to, when in Legendary you need one person to go forward to start the engagement, get the enemies coming forward, maybe you want to give that guy the drone so that he's running back, he's getting some healing. But the drone really has the worst healing in the game and only heals one person, and it's the most susceptible to getting shot. So, in my mind, other than the shock trap, the repair traps, I just don't recommend using the Fixer drone. Next, I'll cover the repair traps real quick. I had a good time making that Hornet bounty. We got those repair traps. I checked them out. We did some testing the first 2 days. Those traps suck. I mean, you place them down. They're in a row. They're in a very confined area. Oftentimes when you step on them, you set off multiple traps. You don't need to be healed to set off the traps. It doesn't tell you... It says, those traps explode, they last for duration. It doesn't tell you how much it heals you over time. It'd be much better if these worked similar to, even if it was just the shrapnel traps where it blew out in a small radius, but you had these healing traps kind of all over the field so people could move into them if they needed to. But as it stands right now, these things are basically worthless. Do not run the repair trap. Of course, that's just my opinion. If you think I'm wrong, leave a comment down below. Let me know why. Maybe I'm using them wrong. Now let's get into what I think is probably the best of all of the skills to use in combination with the Hive. That's the Mender Seeker mine. And the reason why is the Mender Seeker mine will simply go and heal any of your teammates within about 30 meters of you if they get damaged. Our Seeker mine is healing about 230,000 per second in a cloud that's an 8 meter diameter, 4 meter radius, right? And it lasts 11.2 seconds. So, and this will, of course, heal anybody within that cloud. So this works similar to the Chem charger, except that there's only one cloud at a time. But it heals about the same amount over time. It just doesn't have that burst effect that the Chem charger has, that 1.6 million initial. But the one thing I really like about this is the Mender Seeker mine means I can have this out, and this will go around and do the job of healing people without me having to think about it. I could think more about the positioning of the healer Hive, and then I can work on using the Scorpio and actually working offensively and as a team member debuffing the enemy. So I'm going to recommend the combination of the Restorer Hive as well as the Mender Seeker mine. But as you guys will see, I try multiple variations, and you can get basically anything to work. Well, except for maybe those repair traps. I know that this has been really long-winded. Let's get into the 3 different builds, and then I'll have timestamps down below, obviously, so you guys can just easily go to each one of those builds by utilizing the timestamps down below. All right, thanks for checking this out, agents. Let's get into these builds. All right, agents, the first thing we'll do is look at Empathic Resolve with Safeguard combined with the Fixer Drone. The Fixer Drone is really not great. It can help to keep you topped off if you keep it on yourself. It can be good for dudes doing reconnaissance or if somebody's pushing up for whatever reason, but it's one of the most ineffective forms of heal that we have. As far as the talents, the Empathic Resolve and Safeguard, it's really kind of cookie cutter, right? I mean, there's nothing really different about this than any sort of standard healing build we'd run. And that's kind of the problem. It's like it gets the job done, but it's not a lot of fun. What we want to do is find a way that we can still be just as effective of a healer, but actually enjoy the gameplay. You know, really, we just want to try to find ways of buffing ourselves and our team. So, all right, here we go. Alright, so I'm going to hang back here, so what I should do is send my drone up to one of these guys, right? And then what I can do is, if one of them wants to push forward, I'll give him the drone, and then he can push up a little bit. So this is just a little bit of advice to anybody in Legendary with those tanks that have the hives on their backpack. All you need to do is have any one of your skills between you and the tank, and for whatever reason, all the hive bleeds will go towards your skill instead of yourself. Alright, so what these guys are doing right here, that was a terrible idea, and now what I'm doing right here is an even worse idea, alright? So, somehow, amazingly, I get through this, but, yeah, I should have just puckered up, gotten back a bit, and just worked with the one other guy to try to finish these off, but you guys see, this will actually work out okay. So this is super frustrating. Watch me send my drone towards the dude with no armor. See, it registers, right? But the drone's like, nah, fuck you. I'm gonna hang out with you instead. Right? So I think it's over there healing other people. No. Dude, did I just pull the save there, or what? Me and the one other dude. Alright, let's do... Alright. Oh my god, dude. Alright, so now we're pairing up the Tamper Proof with the Galvanized while running the Reinforcer Chem Launcher. Reinforcer Chem Launcher is great. You'll see that works perfect. It's just you have to be weary of your resource management. As far as the tamper-proof Galvanized goes, it's actually a lot of fun. The only thing is I just feel ultimately the utility isn't there compared to running the Empathic Resolve. Any enemies within the 3 meters once every 10 seconds, I really have to move it or make sure it's positioned exactly right. Empathic Resolve works every time somebody's healed. So it just seems a no-brainer that for legendary and high-end content that Empathic Resolve is the better perk. But Tamper Proof is definitely a novelty, and if you're playing any lower difficulties, you know, a heroic or less, you might have some fun just kind of playing with it that way. So. Notice that it does stop those drones, so I will give Tamper Proof that. We'll let this play out, and I'll let you guys see the efficacy of both the Chem Launcher and the Galvanized Tamper Proof combo. See if this gets him. Don't hear my fucking dropping, bro.
Medical assistance needed.
Oh, did my trap down, my hive get him again? It's funny because I keep saying my trap, but it's literally my hive doing my healing hive. Alright, if I pull this off, I can give these guys some heals and then maybe even proc Reformation afterwards so they can just, let's see. Ooh, got it.
An agent has left your group.
Alright, the Galvanized Empathic Resolve Healer is by far the funnest variation for me to play. I feel involved. I feel like I'm into it. I can help the team out. I can debuff the enemies. I can give this bonus armor. It just is the most interactive of all the different healer builds I have, and it's the only one that I enjoy playing. That being said, the Mender Seeker mine, of course, is great and does a great job of taking care of healing for anybody within about 30 meters of me without me having to think of it. You guys will notice right now I'm using the turret. The other cool thing about this build, since we're skill tier 6, even without any skill damage on it, if we need to, sometimes it's convenient to just whip out some sort of offensive skill. So we can do something like this. So this will just help us out in a big open area, make sure nobody sneaks up on us. But once we get inside, I'll switch to the Mender Seeker mine, and you'll see how great that is. And you will get to see the overall effectiveness of this build, despite us not running either kinetic momentum nor safeguard. Well, you know what? I'm just going to shut up and let the rest of the video play out and the build speak for itself. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going back to the Mender.
System reactivated.
You guys notice the green line on the ground extending from the cloud from the Mender Seeker mine. That just lets you know you're in the cloud, you're benefiting from the healing. So while you guys are in game, it's one way you guys can make sure that you are actually getting the benefits of the heal. Here we go.
Hey, you guys, smash that like button. Giggity.
Immediate medical assistance
Get
needed.
to the door, dude. Come on. I was gonna go look for that damn boss, but I know the dude with the shield is just loving my build right now. Watch this. So as you guys can see, by taking Safeguard out of the equation, it doesn't, you don't feel obligated to stay at full health all the time. So that means I can actually go out and do something. Having the Empathic Resolve means that we're giving everybody bonus damage. Mine's less than everybody else, but you know, it gives me a reason to get out there, take a couple bullets to the face. And as you guys see, this Mender mine, right? At times, if I'm not, no time during any of this engagement right here did I tell the mine to go and do anything. It literally is just taking off, and primarily that guy up there with the shield is just taking off and going and keeping him alive. So this build works really good. Unfortunately, you notice this is not a great representation of Galvanized proccing the bonus armor, but you guys saw that in earlier variations, so you know if I'm up in guys' faces, that'll be happening a lot more. This is easily my favorite of all these builds. Let me know what you guys think of this build, and let me know if you guys can think of a combination that would be even cooler for a healer. Alright, agents, I feel like I just need to do a little bit of house cleaning before we get to my final opinion. Our Hive, if we are running Safeguard and we have everything procced to include the Perfect Reformation, Safeguard, Kinetic Momentum at max stacks, and we're in overcharge, we should be right at about 800,000 healing per charge that you get. And just for a frame of reference, a character with 1.2 million armor, that would heal them in 2 charges. And the maximum armor you can get in this game is 2.2 million. Only 4 charges and you would heal that person from no armor to maximum armor. So that's pretty awesome. So the Chem Charger, under these same stats, the Perfect Reformation, everything we just said, we will go from 1.625 million to 2.65 million as the burst healing you would do. So that will automatically heal anybody. No matter how much armor you have, no matter what sort of things you have stacked up, you can be at no armor, and you will instantly be at max armor no matter what. But here's the cool thing. For 7 seconds, this will heal 530,000 armor per second while in overcharge. The drone has a base of 187k normally, and when we have everything stacked up, you'll be looking at 252,000 healing per second. But that's to one dude. The repair traps, this is going to sound good, but as we know, in play it sucks. So they go from 1.67 million healing to 2.1 million healing. The Mender Seeker mine goes from healing 294,000 per second to 386,000 per second. It does get quite a bit larger of a radius, and it will last 11 seconds. So it will be able to heal somebody with 1.2 million armor that's missing will heal the full within 4.1 seconds. And even somebody with the full 2.2 million will heal the full in 7.5 seconds with a fully buffed Mender Seeker mine heal. I just quickly wanted to go over those stats so you guys can know what you're looking at if you are under these, or if you want to start figuring out exactly how much healing you need, what sort of talents you need, and what you can get away with in order to run something that's more practical, has more utility, or simply more fun to play. Well, it's just time for my final opinion. This will be short and sweet. I mean, what can we say? You know, the cookie cutter healer build gets the job done. We can mix and match some talents, have some fun with it. Ultimately, the combination of that Empathic Resolve as well as Galvanized running with the Scorpio is just such a fun build, gives so much utility. I feel a lot tougher just having that bonus armor so often. I feel like it allows the team to do that much more damage. It allows me to debuff the larger, deadlier enemies. The bonus armor allows me to move from one position to the next, and while taking fire and not actually have to heal myself because it's getting taken out of that bonus armor. It's a really fun build to play. And every other version of the healer build, I mean, as soon as you have enough repair skill, any healer build is going to work. So you just got to see what works for you. I got to say, ultimately, I don't even find that it's worth running Reformation. I might even switch out my AR for something that can do a bit more damage, or just something a little more practical. Or maybe I'll switch over to running the Scorpio and the Grudge with the Perfect Vindictive. Since I am getting enemies with status effects, maybe I can get a kill and buff my team's damage that way. So really, there's a lot of fun that can be had with this, a lot of survivability. So yeah, that's my final opinion. Anyway, thank you so much for making it this far. If you guys haven't already, I'd really appreciate you guys smashing that like button, subscribing if you haven't. Hopefully I've earned it. If you guys feel like this video is worth sharing, that'd be great. And if you do, that probably means it may be worth donating a couple bucks to me. Hell, I might even buy myself a beer. Anyway, you agents be safe out there. Stay well, and I'll heal you in the dark zone.